Ladies and gentlemen, your soul knows things long before your mind can understand them. This deep, quiet knowing is what we call inner wisdom. It is the still, small voice within that guides us, warns us, and comforts us. Unlike external knowledge, which is learned through experience, books, or instruction, inner wisdom comes from the soul. It is timeless and intuitive. When you stop the noise of the world and tune into your true self, you begin to hear it clearly. Inner wisdom doesn't shout, it whispers. It nudges you when something doesn't feel right. It urges you toward choices that align with your deepest values, even when those choices aren't the easiest or most logical. It's the force that helps you walk away from something that no longer serves you. Even when others tell you to stay, it's what keeps you anchored when everything else feels uncertain. So many people live their lives disconnected from this powerful source, and they follow the crowd, ignore their instincts, and suppress their truth. But your soul never forgets. It keeps sending signals, waiting for you to listen. Often, these signals come through feelings, a subtle unease, a persistent thought, or a dream you can't shake. Inner wisdom isn't always comfortable. Sometimes, it tells you things you don't want to hear, like when it reveals that you've outgrown a relationship, a job, or even an identity you've clung to. But these truths are sacred. They are gifts that can set you free. Trusting your inner wisdom means honoring your truth, even when it goes against what's popular or expected. Listening to your inner wisdom requires silence, presence, and courage. In a world that values constant doing and external validation, it can feel radical to pause and ask yourself, what do I really feel? What do I truly need? But that is where clarity lives. That is where your soul speaks. When you stop chasing approval and instead follow what resonates with your spirit, you unlock a life of deep fulfillment. Your choices become intentional, your boundaries become clear, and your sense of self grows stronger. There is a difference between reacting and responding. Reaction is impulsive, often driven by fear, pride, or ego. Response is thoughtful, rooted in awareness and wisdom. When you connect with your inner wisdom, you move through life with grace rather than chaos. You stop needing all the answers immediately because you trust that the path will unfold step by step. You learn to sit with uncertainty and recognize that not every question needs a fast answer. Sometimes the most powerful move is to wait, to listen, and to let your soul lead. Your inner wisdom also teaches you compassion for yourself and others. It helps you release judgment, forgive more easily, and see beneath the surface of things. You begin to understand that everyone is on their own path, learning their own lessons, and that peace comes from within, not from trying to control others. You learn to trust the timing of your life, to embrace the detours and delays as part of the divine unfolding. If you realize that every challenge holds a lesson, and every pain has the potential to shape you into someone stronger, softer, and more whole, your soul knows your purpose. It knows what lights you up, what drains you, and what calls you to grow. The more you honor this truth, the more aligned your life becomes. You begin to feel like you're not just surviving but truly living. The more you trust your inner wisdom, the less you seek answers outside yourself. You become your own guide, your own healer, your own compass, and in that sacred alignment, life flows. Things that once felt forced begin to fall into place. Opportunities arise. Peace replaces anxiety. Joy becomes more accessible. This is the power of inner wisdom. This is the voice of your soul. Listen to it. It always knows. Intuition is the voice of your soul. It's the quiet knowing that doesn't come from logic or reason, but from a deep, inner place that often defies explanation. When you have a gut feeling, a sudden insight, or an unshakable sense of clarity, that is your intuition speaking. It doesn't always make sense in the moment, and it rarely shouts. Instead, it whispers in the stillness, guiding you toward what aligns with your truth, your growth, and your purpose. Intuition is not a gift that only a few possess. Everyone has it. The challenge is learning how to hear it through the noise of fear, doubt, and external opinions. In a world that constantly pushes us to analyze, calculate, and rely on proof, intuition asks to feel. It invites us to go within and trust something invisible yet incredibly real. Your soul uses intuition to steer you away from what isn't right and draw you closer to what is. You may not always understand why you feel pulled in a certain direction, but your intuition does. It sees the bigger picture, the spiritual map that your conscious mind can't grasp. It knows who belongs in your life and who doesn't, which doors to knock on and which to walk away from, even when you don't fully understand the reasons. The more you listen to your intuition, the stronger it becomes. At first, it may show up as a subtle nudge, an uneasy feeling in your stomach, a repeated thought, or a moment of clarity when you're not even thinking. If you ignore it, you might feel disconnected, stuck, or even regretful later. But when you follow it, you begin to notice that things fall into place more easily. Synchronicities appear. You feel a sense of flow, like the universe is working with you rather than against you. That's because you're aligning with your soul's guidance. Intuition also serves as your internal compass in relationships. It helps sense when something or someone is off, even if you can't explain why. It alerts you to hidden intentions and unspoken truths. Sometimes it's the reason you can walk into a room and instantly feel the energy shift. Your soul is always picking up information that your conscious mind hasn't processed yet. When you allow your intuition to guide you, you avoid unnecessary pain and drama. You learn to trust your instincts, even if others question your decisions. Learning to trust your intuition is an act of self-respect. It means valuing your own inner voice above the noise of the world. It means acknowledging that you have a direct connection to wisdom that cannot be found in books, in advice columns, or even from those who love you. While input from others can be helpful, only your soul truly knows what's best for you. And your intuition is how it speaks. Sometimes, following your intuition leads you down unfamiliar paths. It may tell you to let go of something that once felt safe, or to take a leap when everything in you is afraid. But trust that this inner voice wants what is highest and best for you. It's not always the easiest route, but it is always the most aligned. Intuition won't guarantee comfort, but it will lead you to authenticity, healing, and wholeness. To strengthen your intuition, create space for it. Turn down the noise. Spend time alone. Meditate, journal, walk in nature, or simply be still. These moments of quiet allow your soul to be heard. You don't have to have all the answers. You only need to listen. Your intuition is always there, waiting patiently for your attention. Remember this: your soul knows. It has always known. When you begin to trust that inner guidance more than you trust fear or external validation, everything begins to shift. You move differently. You choose better. You become who you were always meant to be. Trust that. Trust yourself. Trust your intuition. Authenticity is the alignment between who you truly are and how you show up in the world. It is the state of being in touch with your soul, your core truth, and having the courage to live in accordance with it, regardless of external expectations. When you are authentic, you're not performing for the approval of others. You are simply being, and that being is rooted in your soul's wisdom. Deep down, your soul already knows who you are. It knows your values, your purpose, your boundaries, and your desires. Living authentically is simply the process of remembering that truth and honoring it in everything you do. So many people walk through life wearing masks, pretending to be who they think they should be in order to fit in, be accepted, or avoid conflict. But in doing so, they create a painful disconnect from their own soul. That disconnect leads to anxiety, confusion, and a lingering feeling of emptiness. No amount of external success or validation can fill the void created by living out of alignment. The soul suffers when you betray yourself for the sake of appearances. That quiet discomfort inside, that is your soul urging you to come back home, to stop abandoning your truth and start honoring it. Authenticity isn't about being perfect. It's not about always saying the right thing or having everything figured out. It's about being honest. It's about showing up with integrity, even when it's inconvenient. It's about making choices that reflect your real values, not the ones imposed on you by society, family, or fear. The path of authenticity requires courage because it often asks you to walk away from things that no longer resonate with your truth. Relationships, habits, environments. If they don't reflect who you really are, your soul will eventually ask you to let them go. Your soul knows when you're pretending. It knows when you're compromising too much of yourself to please others or chasing goals that don't actually fulfill you. When you listen to that internal knowing, even if it scares you, you begin to realign with your authenticity. You start to feel lighter, more at peace, more whole. You stop questioning your worth because you're no longer basing it on something outside of yourself. You stop chasing validation because you've finally given it to yourself. Authenticity is powerful like that. It frees you from the exhausting weight of performance and perfectionism. Living authentically doesn't mean you'll never face judgment or misunderstanding. In fact, when you start to live from your soul, you may lose people who were only ever connected to your truth. But that's okay. The more you live from your authenticity, the more aligned your life becomes. You start attracting people and opportunities that resonate with your real energy. You begin to feel supported by the universe because you're no longer swimming against the current of your own truth. To be authentic is to trust that who you are is enough. It's the quiet strength of saying, "This is me, this is what I believe, this is what I need, and I'm allowed to take up space in this world as my true self." That kind of inner confidence can't be faked. It radiates from the soul. It invites peace, clarity, and meaning into your life. When you live authentically, you stop chasing and start attracting. You stop surviving and start thriving. Your soul knows when you're living in truth and when you're not. The more you tune in and honor that knowing, the more authentic your life becomes. And with authenticity comes freedom. The freedom to live fully, love deeply, and move through the world with a sense of purpose and peace that no one can take from you. When you choose authenticity, you're not just living, you're living aligned. And that alignment is where your true power lies. Spiritual alignment is the state of being in harmony with your higher self, the part of you that transcends ego, fear, and illusion. It's when your actions, thoughts, emotions, and intentions are aligned with the deeper truth of your soul. When you are spiritually aligned, life flows with more ease, synchronicities increase, and you experience a sense of clarity and inner peace that cannot be manufactured. Your soul knows when you are in alignment, and it also knows when you are not. It sends you signals through emotions, physical sensations, and intuitive nudges that guide you back to your truth. Many people live disconnected from their inner compass, chasing validation, success, or acceptance in ways that slowly drain their spirit. They may check all the boxes of what good life looks like on the outside, but on the inside something feels off. That off feeling is the soul's whisper. It's the quiet voice reminding you that you've strayed from what really matters. You might feel it as restlessness, sadness, anxiety, or an unshakable sense that something is missing. These feelings are not failures. They are invitations. Invitations to return to spiritual alignment. Your soul knows your true path, even if your mind forgets. The journey back to spiritual alignment is not about doing more or achieving more. It's about remembering. Remembering who you are, what lights you up, and what you came here to do. This requires listening deeply to your body, your intuition, your inner voice. It means creating space for silence, reflection, and connection to something greater than yourself. Whether through meditation, prayer, nature, or creativity, these sacred practices reconnect you to the truth that you are not just a body or a personality. You are a soul. Being spiritually aligned doesn't mean your life will be free of challenges, but it does mean you will navigate those challenges from a place of trust rather than fear. It means making decisions not based on external pressure, but on internal knowing. You stop needing everyone's approval because you've already found approval within. You no longer chase outcomes because you trust the journey. When you are spiritually aligned, your energy shifts, and that shift affects everything around you. Relationships deepen or fall away. Opportunities arise that match your new frequency. You feel more at peace, even in uncertainty, because your soul is leading the way. Spiritual alignment is also about integrity. It's the courage to live your truth, even when it's inconvenient. It's choosing what nourishes your spirit over what merely looks good from the outside. Your soul knows when you're pretending. It knows when you're playing small or dimming your light to make others comfortable. The more you ignore that knowing, the more out of sync you feel. But the moment you begin to honor your soul's guidance, even in small ways, your energy begins to recalibrate. You begin to feel whole again. The process of realignment isn't always easy. Sometimes it requires letting go of roles, relationships, habits, or beliefs that no longer serve your higher path. That can feel like loss, but it's actually liberation. When you release what isn't aligned, you make space for what is. You step into a life that reflects your soul's truth. And in doing so, you stop surviving and start living. Your soul is always speaking to you, through your desires, your discomforts, your dreams, and your intuition. It is constantly guiding you towards spiritual alignment. The more you listen, the more natural it becomes. And as you align with your soul, life begins to feel less like a struggle and more like a dance. You move with purpose, with presence, and with peace. Because deep down, you know your soul already holds the map. You just have to follow it. There is a quiet voice inside each of us that doesn't speak in words but in sensations. This is your gut feeling, a deep, instinctive sense of knowing that bypasses logic and reason. Often, it's subtle. A tug in your stomach, a flutter of unease, a wave of calmness without explanation. While the mind analyzes and debates, your gut simply knows. It's your soul speaking through the body, trying to guide you toward alignment, protection, and truth. When something feels right or wrong, even before your mind can process why, it's often your gut that alerts you first. Many people dismiss their gut feelings, brushing them off as paranoia, overthinking, or irrational fear. But gut instinct isn't about fear. It's about clarity. It's the part of you that is unclouded by outside noise, social conditioning, or emotional confusion. It cuts through the clutter and delivers a message straight from your inner compass. When your soul knows something, your gut feels it. Whether it's telling you to trust someone, walk away, make a move, or stay still, that sensation is worth paying attention to. Your gut feeling is often the first sign that you're spiritually connected. It's the whisper that says, "This isn't right," even if everyone else tells you it is. Or the pull that says, "Go for it," even if you feel scared. This inner nudge isn't loud, but it's persistent. The more you learn to honor it, the stronger it becomes. Over time, you develop a sense of spiritual confidence, a trust that you can navigate life not just through logic or emotion, but through soul-guided wisdom. When you ignore your gut, you often find yourself in situations that drain or misalign you. You may look back and say, "I knew something was off," or "I should have listened to myself." These aren't regrets, they're lessons. They teach you the importance of tuning in and valuing your internal signals over external validation. Your gut is not trying to limit you. It's trying to guide you to where you truly belong. It sees what your eyes cannot. It feels what your mind refuses to admit. It senses what your spirit already knows. Developing a stronger connection with your gut feeling involves slowing down and listening more. In a world full of distractions, constant noise, and endless opinions, it can be easy to silence that inner voice. But when you create stillness, through solitude, mindfulness, or meditation, you make room for your gut to speak clearly. You start to differentiate between fear and intuition, between reaction and guidance. Fear usually comes from the mind and is loud, urgent, and chaotic. Intuition, on the other hand, is calm, grounded, and persistent. The gut is often referred to as the second brain, for a reason. It holds intelligence that science is only beginning to understand, but spiritually, we've always known its power. It's no coincidence that phrases like "follow your gut" or "gut instinct" have endured across cultures and generations. They reflect the universal truth that the soul communicates through the body. When something resonates, you feel it. When something's off, you feel that too. And while the mind can be deceived by appearances or persuasion, the gut rarely lies. When your soul knows something, it doesn't scream. It whispers. Your gut is that whisper turned into a physical signal. Trusting it may feel risky at times, especially when it goes against logic or expectation. But those who live soul-aligned lives have one thing in common: they listen. They honor their inner guidance even when it's inconvenient or misunderstood. They know that truth doesn't always need to be explained to be followed. Your gut feeling is your soul's compass. The more you follow it, the more in sync your life becomes. You'll attract what's meant for you, walk away from what's not, and experience a deeper sense of peace, because you'll be living from the inside out. And in the end, that's where the real wisdom is. Your soul already knows. All you have to do is listen. There is a part of you that exists beyond your daily worries, beyond your fears and beyond the expectations the world places on you. This part is not influenced by ego, insecurity, or chaos. It is calm, wise, and clear. This is your higher self, the eternal, divine essence of who you are. When people talk about their soul knowing something, it is their higher self that is doing the knowing. It is that deep, unwavering presence inside that sees beyond confusion and offers direction aligned with your truest path. Your higher self doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't compete with the noise of the world or demand validation. Instead, it speaks in quiet certainty, through intuition, gut feelings, dreams, and moments of still clarity. When your soul knows, it's your higher self trying to reach you, trying to get you to pause, listen, and trust the guidance within. Unlike the ego, which reacts based on fear or insecurity, the higher self responds with love, understanding, and long-term vision. To connect with your higher self, you must be willing to slow down and turn inward. This requires a kind of surrender, a willingness to let go of the surface distractions and get honest with yourself. The higher self doesn't cater to the stories you've built about who you should be. It knows who you truly are. It nudges you to walk away from what doesn't serve your growth and toward experiences that align with your truth, even if they feel uncomfortable in the moment. You may not always understand the path a soul is pulling you toward, but your higher self sees what you cannot yet see. It understands the timing, the lessons, and the purpose behind every step. There is a kind of spiritual intelligence that your higher self carries. It doesn't get caught up in drama or competition. It doesn't chase love or approval. Instead, it operates from a place of wholeness and inner peace. When you listen to this part of yourself, you begin to choose differently. You choose relationships that nourish your soul rather than feed your ego. You make decisions based on alignment, not anxiety. And you begin to experience life from a place of depth, not distraction. The process of tuning into your higher self is not about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing when you're reacting fear or pain and then gently redirecting yourself to act from wisdom and love. Your higher self won't judge you for slipping into old patterns. It will simply call you back again and again until you remember who you are. This part of you is patient and compassionate, always willing to guide you home. When you feel disconnected or lost, it's usually because the noise of the outside world has drowned out the voice of your higher self. But that voice never leaves you. It's always there, waiting for you to return to it. And when you do, when you stop, breathe, and really listen, you'll find that your soul always knew the answer. It always knew what was best for you. That's the power of living in tune with your higher self. It gives you a sense of spiritual grounding that nothing else can provide. As you deepen your connection with this higher part of you, your outer life begins to reflect that inner alignment. You no longer settle for what's easy. You choose what's true. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop doubting and start trusting. And most importantly, you begin to walk through life with a quiet, steady confidence, knowing that your soul knows the way. The journey becomes less about control and more about alignment, less about doing and more about being. And in that space, the wisdom of your higher self becomes not just a guide, but your way of life. There comes a point in your journey when you begin to realize that not everything is just coincidence. Certain moments feel too perfect, too aligned, too purposeful. You begin to notice patterns, signs, and whispers from within that seem to lead you exactly where you need to go, even when you don't fully understand why. This is divine guidance. It is the invisible hand that gently nudges you in the direction of your highest good. When people say, "Your soul knows," what they're really speaking about is this quiet yet powerful form of spiritual communication that comes from a source beyond the physical. One that speaks directly to your soul. Divine guidance doesn't show up with loud instructions or guaranteed outcomes. Instead, it often arrives as a feeling, a deep inner knowing, a sense of calm certainty that defies logic. It might be a strong pull toward a decision that doesn't make sense on paper but feels right in your heart. It might be a subtle warning, a repeated sign, or a synchronicity that grabs your attention just when you need it most. Divine guidance works in layers. Sometimes it's immediate and direct, other times it unfolds slowly over time, revealing truth in stages as you grow and evolve. Your soul is always connected to this higher source of wisdom. It is not separate from the divine, it is an extension of it. So when you feel something deeply within, when you just know, without being told, that's your soul in harmony with divine guidance. It's the part of you that remembers your purpose, even when your mind forgets. It's what steers you away from situations that feel heavy and toward experiences that feel light and aligned, even if they challenge you to step outside your comfort zone. The challenge with divine guidance is that it often contradicts the noise of the world. Society teaches you to seek proof, to rely on logic, and to fear uncertainty. But divine guidance asks you to trust what you cannot yet see. It invites you to move based on faith, not fear. And that can be difficult, especially when the path ahead isn't clear. But your soul always knows when something is right for you. It may not make sense at first, but when you follow that deep inner pull, you begin to see the bigger picture unfold. Divine guidance is not reserved for the chosen or the spiritual elite. It is available to everyone. But you must be willing to slow down and tune in. The more you quiet the external noise, the more clearly you will hear it. It could come through meditation, prayer, journaling, dreams, or simply being present. The channel of communication is unique to you. What matters is your willingness to listen, even when what you hear asks you to stretch, grow, or let go. Sometimes divine guidance asks you to walk away from relationships, jobs, or patterns that no longer serve you. It may ask you to take a leap of faith, to believe in yourself, or to step into a role that feels too big for who you think you are. But it will never lead you astray. The discomfort that may come from following your soul's knowing is only temporary. On the other side of that discomfort is peace, growth, and alignment. When you trust divine guidance, you begin to live with more grace and less resistance. You no longer force things to happen. You allow them to unfold. You become more aligned with who truly are, and that alignment naturally draws the right people, opportunities, and experiences into your life. You don't have to chase anymore, you simply attract what's meant for you. In the end, divine guidance is your soul's compass. It is the sacred language between you and the universe. And when you honor it, when you learn to follow its gentle direction, you find that your soul never leads you wrong. Your soul knows always. All you have to do is listen. There is a quiet truth that lives inside each of us, a voice that doesn't scream but gently pulls us in a direction we're meant to go. This is your soul calling. It's not about what the world expects from you. It's about what your soul already knows to be true. It doesn't always come with clarity or logic, but it arrives with a feeling that something more is waiting for you. Something meaningful, something deeply aligned with who you really are. Your soul calling isn't necessarily about career or success in the traditional sense. It's about purpose. It's about resonance. It's that feeling you get when you're doing something that lights you up from within, when time disappears and you feel connected to something bigger than yourself. Your soul calling shows up in the things that feel effortless yet impactful, the things that challenge you yet feel worth every ounce of effort. Often, people ignore this calling because it requires change. It asks you to walk away from comfort and familiarity. It can feel inconvenient or even disruptive. But that's because your soul doesn't care about playing it safe. It cares about becoming whole. Your soul wants growth, evolution, and authenticity. And that means shedding what no longer serves you to step into what truly aligns with your inner truth. At first, your soul calling may feel like a whisper, a persistent nudge, a question that won't leave you alone. It could come in the form of dissatisfaction, restlessness, or even emotional pain. These are signs that your current path is out of alignment with your soul. When you ignore this voice, you might find yourself feeling lost, drained, or disconnected from your life. But when you begin to listen, you start to feel alive again. Following your soul calling doesn't mean everything becomes easy. In fact, it might get harder before it gets better, but it will always feel right. There's a difference between struggling in resistance and struggling towards something you were born to do. The former drains you, the latter fuels you. When your actions align with your soul's purpose, even the challenges become part of a greater, meaningful journey. Many people ask, how do I know what my soul calling is? The truth is you already do. Your soul knows. It's just that life, noise, fear, and conditioning have made it hard to hear. But the signs are always there. It's in the things that bring you joy, the moments when you feel most like yourself, the work that energizes you, and the contributions that feel deeply fulfilling. It's in your gifts, your passions, and your intuition. You don't have to figure it all out at once. Your soul calling may unfold in layers. You may start with one step, one choice, one act of courage. And as you move, the path becomes clearer. The important thing is to move, to trust that inner knowing, to stop waiting for permission or perfect timing. The call is already within you. All that's left is your willingness to answer. Answering your soul's calling is the ultimate act of self-trust. It's choosing to believe that what lives inside of you is valid, powerful, and worthy of expression. It's choosing alignment over approval, truth over comfort, and depth over surface. And as you walk in that truth, something magical happens. You begin to attract what was always meant for you. Opportunities, people, and moments begin to align because you are finally in alignment with yourself. In the end, your soul calling is not a destination. It's a way of living, a commitment to showing up as the most honest version of you. It's a journey of remembering who you are and why you came here. When you honor that calling, you don't just live, you come alive. And that's when you realize your soul always knew.